for this, we can go ahead and start bottom on up because it's kind of guides conversation. But for eggs, you chose 4 Vegiemon jamming eggs and 1 Upa egg. I know lots of Imperialists like to have just the 4 jamming eggs. Is there a reason you chose the 5th one? Is there a matchup that you liked it for?
So this kind of goes in tangent with our analog youth. Our security control matchup is abysmal, almost feels unwinnable at times. So to kind of mitigate some of the disastrous things that happen in security, being able to hatch that 5th egg is extremely important for surviving into the late game against 3 Musketeers and security control.
Okay, so it helps you keep pressure going because the idea, like you're saying, is like if you lose your stack, you hatch, you can digivolve, and then you're ready to start pressuring again the next turn.
Yes, sir.
That's awesome. So that's the whole idea of the analog use. The Davises are staple because it's your good memory fixer. It's potentially a +2. It's typically +1. Ice Wall, Hammer Sparks, they're broken cards.
Yeah, Ice Wall broken, doing broken stuff.
that card is just so crazy. There's a reason it's getting limited to 1. And then you have 1 blue memory boost. Did you ever find yourself using blue memory boosts and just like awkwardly finding green digis you needed for that level 5 or 4 spot?
Not in particular. We do only run 5 green cards in the deck. So I didn't hit a single green card off the memory boost. And that's why it's a 1-of. That's it's just kind of just there to, if I have a brick hand or have an off turn or I hit it in security, it's just there to, kind of boost my pressure and just help me win games.
Yeah. Now I know when people think about building an Imperial list, because the rookies, they're pretty standard. Like you got your Vegiemon, he's great draw and consistency. The Gabu, he's going to plus your DP for when you're probably swinging against the Gabu Bond matchups, to be my guess for why you have the Gabu, right?
Actually, mostly it's an all-purpose card for me. It's good into the Diabormon. It's good into Black Craniumon. It's amazing into Gabu. Being able to just promote a stack, and usually we'll always be at 8 cards just because of our draw. So basically, we're swinging 8k piercing on all turns. We never get punished by Octo. Against the Agumon matchup with their good rookie, we never get punished by Greymons. So being able to just stick this on board, 8k is huge. So stick it on board
already.
Oh yes. Piercing, being able to I hit a tamer and I get to pierce through your Digimon the next turn. It's a lot of tempo for the deck.
Yeah. And then when people think of like a traditional Imperialist, like I was saying earlier, though, you got your Vmons, you got your X-Vmons and Stingmons. But I noticed you actually emphasize the turbo level 4s. You got your Gorillamons, you got your Lobomons for finishers, and you have that spicy Vegiemon. But is there a reason you didn't choose the level 4 X-Vmon from EX1?
Yes, and the main reason why, and it came up in one of my games because, funny enough, I faced a mirror match inside this tournament. I think the only other Imperial player I faced him in round 5. And it came up a lot because what was happening is he was kind of in this mindset, right? Promote my level 4, which is already super susceptible to not only option cards, but Geo Greymon. X-Vemon's only 4k. So hitting into those really problematic option cards and security cards really hurts your tempo. And then going into a EX Imperial to gain a memory and suspend, right? It's the same memory differentials, basically, as a 1-drop and a 3-drop.
Okay.
And you're getting a bad stack. The EX Imperial or the EX Imperialdramon is not a very good Digimon. You get to unsuspend, and it kind of helps if you already have memory set up and your tamer set up. You get to extend plays out. But realistically, getting to your level 6 is the most important because they're the least susceptible to option cards. Level 5s are the weakest Digimon, right? You put in the most value, and if they get destroyed, you lose the most.
Yeah, because you're immediately losing, like you're saying, your entire stack, and level 6s go burr.
Yes, this card jamming go burr.
Yeah, because I know I'm going to be curious about your reasoning for the Vegiemon. I thought that was cool.
Yeah. Vegiemon was... I was going to start. Vegiemon was extremely spicy in the tournament. He's 4 to play, 5,000 DP. Not only is he a big body to establish, he's a choking mechanism, and just like all my other really good inheritable effects, he's 2 to evolve. So Vegiemon puts in a lot of work against Gabu especially, just to push them off that lethal limit, right? Not only pushing them off their lethal limit, but also getting rid of your main crutch of the deck, which is Madoki, right? From time and time again, I thought Madoki is the reason why I can't go into Imperial. And so being able to bounce, turn your XVmon on, turn your Hammer Sparks back on, and turn your win condition back on, right? We're running 5 cards that win us a game in security.
Yeah.
So being able to get rid of problematic rookies, especially, is always really, really nice. And it's cheap.
What is the inheritable exactly, just for people who don't know?
So basically, if you have 8 or more cards in your hand, you get to bounce 1 level 3 Digimon to the opponent's hand.
Okay, so that's how you're saying that it's the answer to Madoki's. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Also for Commandramon, their Commandramons never end up in their graveyard. They always just go back to their hands.
And denies Darkdramon plays.
Yes, it kind of mitigates lethal for them just by getting rid of their board state and denying exactly that Darkdramon play.
Level 5s, they're pretty staple. That's your bread and butter.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, and the piercing is what you're saying you really liked about the Dino Bee, plus the fact it's a green searcher, right?
Of course, being able to hit 5 targets off Davis, especially, it's pretty nice. I hit it a few times, and it got me both pieces I needed. I had a Stingmon Pally, and I had the rookie, or I had the Vmon already in raising, and then the Imperial in hand. And at that point, it's just a countdown. It's just a 2-turn countdown before I get 3 swings piercing.
Yeah. Now, kind of the top end stuff. Now, obviously, you're running Imperial for your list, but is there a reason you chose to do a 3-2 split of the original or the older Imperial versus 2 of the new one?
So I did quite a bit of testing, and especially in a deck like this, it's a combo tower deck, you kind of have really tight ratios. Swinging, jamming is just extremely important in this deck, and we can't really give our Imperial jamming anymore because we're missing out on the XVmon. So I did a 3-2 split just because we're building tall, and we're hoping we get there. I never missed Imperial any of my games. Win or lose, I always saw at least 1 full combo. We have Analog Youth as a searcher, Davis as a searcher, and Blue Memory Boost. So definitely prioritizing jamming over the suspension effect is what I went for, just because we can't attain jamming on our level 4s.
And that makes a lot of sense. Now, the fun and I think most spicy part is you have an original 1.0 Omni, and then you have 2 Bullets Omnis. Now, I want to take a wild guess here, but you got the 1.0 Omni for the Diabormon matchup, if I had to guess?
Yeah, we got it for the Diabormon matchup. It kind of didn't even come up. Ironically enough, my opponents played around it without even playing around it. They both summoned Armageddonmon with like 10 tokens on board. And I'm like, okay, I guess I can't do it.
You get shut down with Armageddonmon, yeah.
Yeah. That was extremely rough. But oddly enough, it came up in the purple matchup the most.
Now,
I had
purple
to interact
is like Lilith Loop, right?
Yes, sir. So Lilith Loop, it came up, and it won me the game, basically. You know, him getting to his level 6 is what loses me the game, because Lilith Loop is just so oppressive. I can't come back from, like double play Ginkaku into a loop, into another. It's just too much momentum for the purple player for me to come back just because I have to set up another stack, and that's going to take me a turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what actually happened is I had swung with Pally and gone to Imperial and choked him to 1. And then just because he was a little bit behind me, he had, instead of going to his Lilith, he had just played an Analog Youth. Yeah, and so I already had Imperial on board, and he put an Analog Youth down just to either dig, fill up his trash, anything purple does to kind of just choke your opponent and just hope to get the combo off. He had told me after the game that he did have win rate, Mega Digimon Fusion, and Zwart and Lilith in hand. So he had full combo, and he was ready to go off. So what ended up happening is that he passed me, and then I was already at my Imperial, so I swung unsuspended, gained a memory, swung, and then I omnied his Lady Devi. So just a way to get rid of that Lady Devi, just said delete your stack, because purple invests so much memory into their stack, and they need the stack to go off, and if they don't, just like how combo decks are susceptible like mine, they lose that stack and they're just really far behind.
Yeah, and something that you don't really play around if you're going against Imperial, you don't think about playing around removal. It's not common. So, I think that's
I definitely agree.
It's one big thing. It gives such a big advantage. Like, when you're playing in these big tournaments, everyone's thinking about these bread and butter staple lists. It's like, okay, if you're playing Imperial, you have to run Vegiemon, you have to run Snake, etc. But, this is where deck building creativity and good players really come out to shine when it comes to big events like this. You get to come ahead and you get to show, hey, I have a surprise tech. I punish you. I win the game now. And it shuts them down.
And it feels great because another reason why I decided to opt for BT1 Omni, because I originally was going to add another consistency card instead of running this, maybe a third analog youth. But I decided to run it because in my mind, not only does it net me my level 6 back, it makes my Dino B stacks worth having, So I can promote double swing, and then once I Omni and kill their guy, I also get another double swing next turn, just kind of securing me a faster path to lethal with another promotion and swing out.
Yeah, that's really awesome. I love the entire deck. Now, we briefly talked about some matchups you had as you were playing the day. So walk me through day one. What matchups did you have?
So day one, I had the day one match when I had Bill Star matchup, and Analog Youth carried me through that so hard. I started Analog Youth in a line. Wasn't a very good line, but we were trying to get there. And his first check was a fly bullet. And I was like, okay, that's fine, Hatch. Just to cycle we're just being able to cycle our hand out against these matchups that control your board just helps you keep tempo within the game state. So luckily we got to build another stack in the back. And then we promoted again, swung, and died again. And we're like, okay, that's fine. Build another stack. And then, especially with a deck like Three Musketeers that can't recover, me being able to throw out stacks efficiently wins me the game. So with Analog Youth and the way I built the deck, I would consider myself favored in the Three Musketeer matchup, just because the amount of security pressure I can put on every single turn.
Yeah, that's not even counting I'm winning Lobo game this turn. You're talking about your main stack, and then you have those 2 extra win button finishes for that matchup, which makes a lot of sense. Because they don't typically pop those tamers.
I think day one, I had a lot of favorable matchups. I dodged all security controls. I only faced Three Musketeer as a security control type deck that day, which was very lucky because that's kind of like a matchup I tend to lose. It's very rough. You try to tech for stuff as much as you can, but you got to accept there's matchups that you can't win.
Yeah. So did you have lots of Gabubon matchups then?
Yeah, I faced 5-6 Gabubon matchups that day, and I think I stole a lot of them just because a lot of these new players don't really know how to play against Imperial properly.
Yeah, I was going to say, I wouldn't expect Imperial to even make day 2 of Nationals, but here you are. You made day 2. You got top 64 with it.
Dude, I was really happy. We ended up placing 48th on the final standings. To me, making it to day 2 is just a great achievement. I'm happy. It was my first national event, and I took the deck. I really loved to it, and I did well. Feels good.
Yeah, and I applaud you for that. Congratulations again so much, Jesse. I know you're an awesome player. I've played you before. You're very good at the game, and you definitely deserved your placing that you had.
I appreciate that.
Is there any closing thoughts you have that you want to talk about with your deck? Because I know we've only talked for 15 minutes here. There's so much more we could probably talk about. But is there any closing thoughts, things you really want to point out?
Nothing in particular. Going forward, though, I unfortunately would have to retire this deck until the structure deck comes out. But, I had a really fun run with it. Anyone who wants to try out Imperial, I would consider looking at it from a different angle. I see a lot of these lists online that love to be super memory inefficient. And I think some people have to understand, even though that we are in a very memory inefficient meta with people playing tamers left and right, giving you 3-4 memory at the start of your turn, that, the core of the game is still memory efficiency. And when deck building, you kind of have to look at that.
Yeah, because everyone just kind of threw out the window, like you're saying, like everyone drops a tamer. You go against Gabumon, it's going to be I go into a rookie, I drop a Matt, or I drop a Davis. It's like every turn one.
Yeah,
if it's not
it's
that,
broken,
it's like Drawboo or something like that. Yeah,
yeah, it's broken, but being able to just win that memory efficiency game can win you games in the long term.
Yeah. Well, that being said, thank you so much, everyone, for watching today's video. If you enjoy this content, as I try to get conversations with more players, leave a like, comment, subscribe, leave your thoughts below. And congrats again to you, Jesse. Really appreciate you coming on.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.